Hi everyone, I'm Hao Chi Wu.
And I'm Gajivan Rajanayagam.
And I'm Thomas Gaddy, and we're presenting on the topic security and privacy issues in smart cities. So what is a smart city? A smart city is defined to be smart when investments in human and social capital in traditional transport and modern ICT communication infrastructure fuel sustainable economic growth with a high quality of life and wise management of natural resources through participatory governance. So we'll look at some examples such as smart utilities, smart environment, and smart public services. So at first, smart utilities, the goal is to reduce the consumption of resources such as energy, gas, and water. And for smart environment, is to make sure that the environment is sustainable, and that would involve noise and air pollution, and checking for floods, earthquakes, and tornadoes and forest fires. And then there's smart public services, involves the deployment of public resources in an efficient and effective manner. And then there's smart healthcare. Smart healthcare technology is being used in early diagnosis, prevention, monitoring, and self-management. And we have to be careful with the current COVID-19 virus. And then there's smart emergency systems to promote safety and security for its citizens. Emergency services can respond quickly by correlating intelligence from multiple data sources such as security cameras, traffic sensors, and wearable devices. They can do predictive analysis, which holds potential to improve the quality of information used by police, fire departments, and hospitals. And then there's smart homes. Smart homes make the use of internet-connected devices to promote remote management, energy efficiency, and security and automation. There are 5 ways to identify privacy issues. Privacy or location is the first one, which involves the protection of the spatial temporal information. Location is not only the location itself, but the amount of time involved visiting it. Violations of location and privacy can reveal a person's workplace, home, and also draw inferences about their habits, purchase patterns, and health. And the second one, privacy of state and body of mind, involves issues about a person's physical and mental states, such as biometrics, health, genome, emotions, opinions, and thoughts. Privacy violations can lead to potential discrimination by employers and insurance companies. Into totalitarian regimes, this information could be used in prosecution. The third one, privacy of social life, involves the protection of a person's social interactions, such as what was said in a conversation or posted on a social media platform. It can also include metadata about the interactions, such as whom and how long the person interacts. Violations of this data can allow for inferences on a person's health or political opinions. So the fourth one, privacy of behavior and action, includes a person's habits, hobbies, and purchase patterns. Exploitation of online shopping and credit card purchases can be shared with retailers for targeted advertising. And the last one, media privacy, includes privacy of images, videos, audio, and other data about a person. For example, CCTV, camera footage, or media posted on the internet can constitute privacy violations if they are non-consensual. So when discussing privacy issues, there are 6 key privacy properties. Anonymity means the subject is not identifiable within the given set. Unlinkability means that 2 individuals or actions cannot be linked by an attacker. Undetectability means the attacker cannot determine whether objects of interest exist. Unobservability is a result when data is undetectable and anonymous. Pseudonymity involves the use of pseudonyms rather than real names. And identity management deals with partial identity management. We covered an application paper called Who Moved My Data? Privacy Protection in Smartphones. Currently on smartphones, applications have a setting called coarse-grained authorization, where if you give the application permission to the data, it has full access to your data, such as your address book. This applies until you deny access to the application. This is a privacy concern as non-relevant data could be collected. It's estimated that 93% of iOS devices do this, and 89% of Android devices do this. The user could be linked with their international mobile station equipment identity or their unique device identifier, and these are set by the manufacturer and cannot be removed. An example would be a social media service that could be tracking individuals, and Facebook may have access to data that you don't want to give access to. So in this paper, Who Moved My Data? Privacy Protection in Smartphones, they developed an application or a framework where all your data on your phone is sent to the cloud, and a privacy setting is set for each specific piece of data or is grouped into permissions. So the data would be encrypted both ways through the internet. And we could also see an application of this for IoT devices too. So applications would need to have permission to access the data as said. Location data would be given a level of 3, and photos would be given a level of 3 or 2. Audio data would be given a level of 1. So the higher the data level, the more protected it is. A limitation is that it may be tedious and time-consuming to set permissions on specific data. So this would allow for standardization for developers. One of the criticisms could be that it could increase traffic and security concerns. If you had an example, say for example, a photo of a product that you want to patent, you would not want Facebook to have access to it, and you would also have questions about the encryption levels being sent to the cloud and whether it is indeed secure on the cloud.
Let me introduce the architecture of the smart city for you. Generally speaking, it can be divided into 4 layers. First is the sensing layer, which is to collect the data. Here, IoT devices involve smart sensors, cameras, and so on. Second is the data collecting layer, which is to store the collected data. Basically, there are 2 types of storage methods. One is the local temporary database, which form the IoT-based smart city, and the other is the cloud storage, which forms the cloud-based smart city. Third is the data processing layer or pre-processing layer, which helps some delay-sensitive applications to pre-process the data. And the last one is the smart processing and application layer, which allows data interaction among data, humans, and smart applications. This layer can perform real-time data processing, analyzing, and also decision-making. Based on the general architecture, we can see the data collecting layer, local database, data processing layer, and the smart processing and application layer can be regarded as internal environment, which forms the system part of the smart city. Besides, the sensing layer and the cloud can be considered as the external environment. When data needs to travel between inside and outside, access control is always a necessary requirement. Thus, what we first need to consider is data security, including confidentiality, integrity, availability, and authentication. Then we need a reliable network for data transmission. Besides, device security also raises people's attention if attackers try to invade through the smart devices. Moreover, a smart city relies on a robust system, so the system security is also important. In addition, cloud as an effective method to store the big data, its security can't be ignored. Next, let's simply take a look at the issues in IoT-based and cloud-based smart city. Common issues in the sensing layer are, first, data overcollection, that the devices may actively or passively collect more data than needed. Second, diversity of IoT devices, such as different manufacturers, standards, data types, and so on. Third, encryption limitations in low-power IoT devices. Next, common issues in the data collecting layer are, first, data validity, to authenticate the incoming data. Second, data removal, to effectively delete all the data that is required to. Third, collusion attacks, to prevent the service provider from getting more knowledge than they are supposed to. Next, common issues in the data processing or smart processing and application layer is the conflict between security and efficiency. Strong encryption algorithms will affect the real-time data processing. Therefore, most current applications use lighter encryption method, which might be easier to break. On the other hand, different issues basically focus on the storage in the data collecting layer. IoT-based smart cities use auto-tiering storage, which automatically store the data in different levels based on the policies set by the operators. Here, the data may be allocated to a designed level through a malicious policy modified by the attackers. Besides, the data shares different security levels here. More frequent data gets secure protection. Furthermore, the storage has transaction logs, which contain all activities in the database, and they may reflect some sensitive information. As for the cloud storage, the cloud service providers take over the physical control and the management of the data, which forms the concern of data control. And the cloud may have multiple users, which may provide another opportunity for attackers to access the data, especially some small-scale or unstable cloud services. Next, for data protection, there are two common methods: data anonymization, that is to protect individual privacy, and the encryption, that is to protect data contents. And next part is common network protocols in the existing smart cities. Noteworthy here are 6LoWPAN and Zigbee. 6LoWPAN aims to link the low power or low computation devices to the network, when Zigbee aims to help cheap or simple network to link a large number of devices within a short physical distance.
CAO Triad is a security model that's designed to guide information security policies and practices. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability are considered three crucial components of security. Confidentiality ensures that only authorized users can access the information or the systems. And confidentiality can be violated in many ways through direct attacks to gain unauthorized access, such as trying to get into an application or a system or a database, either just to gain the information, and that should be confidential, such as your financial information or your health information. Integrity ensures that data has not been tampered with, and therefore it can be trusted. For example, you want to make sure your health information is not tampered or modified, and therefore your doctor is not prescribing the wrong information. Or in a smart city where self-driving cars are relying on the sensor information that's provided, and for example, there's an accident ahead or a vehicle stopped in front of it, and if that information is modified, and the self-driving car could make a fatal mistake. Availability simply means that network systems and applications are up and running. It ensures that authorized users have timely, reliable access to resources when needed. Attack on availability can be simply done through a denial of service attack. If information is not available to a self-driving car, that could just suddenly come to a sudden stop. Or worse, it can cause an accident. Common types of attacks in smart city. Malware. Ransomware is one of the common types of malware today. Many are developed to target electric grids or hospitals, because these two areas are very hard to secure. Electric grids uses dated equipments that had no security controls in mind. Hospitals rely on many types of medical and IoT and OT devices. They are generally developed to provide medical services, but not necessarily developed with security in mind. And therefore, it becomes easy target for attackers and attack them and gain ransom. Denial of service attacks. It's a common type of attack to bring down a network or service, and many asked for ransom in order to stop the denial of service attack. Attackers use IoT devices to bring down some of these networks. A phishing attack. Imagine if an employee clicks on a malicious link, and that could bring down the entire hospital, or it could bring down the entire hydro grid. Michael Greene Hospital in Scarborough had similar type of attack last year, where one of the employees clicked on a phishing email, and the hospital was out of service for about 2 weeks. Man-in-the-middle attack. An unauthorized party could just listen in or alter the information that's communicating in that channel. Such as, for example, this malicious attacker could change the information that's sent from a sensor to our smart self-driving car. And imagine if the self-driving car supposed to receive an information saying there's a vehicle stopped ahead, and that information is never delivered, or it was altered to as all clear, the car would just drive straight into that stopped vehicle. Traffic analysis attack. This is basically, the attacker does not have compromised data, but they are looking at all the available information, such as DNS requests or communication patterns, like what IP is communicating to. This is to determine where the base stations are, or whatever the critical information for that system. And then the attacker can launch various types of attacks, such as jamming, so the signals are not sent, eavesdropping, or evil twin attacks, or the information is sent to the wrong channel. Routing attacks. Routing attacks are most common in low-powered devices because they're connected to untrusted network, and they have very limited resources available to provide any kind of security or secure communication. And they also use some novel IoT technologies such as 6-low WPAN. Defenses. Many of the organizations are trying to apply to control security and privacy risk in their organizations, such as network segmentation and having some kind of border control between sensitive devices or IoT devices, limiting network access to IoT devices, patch management, backup. Having a good backup and a disaster recovery plan can go a long way after a cyber attack. Data encryption. We want to ensure all data is encrypted at rest as well as in transit. Employee education is one of the key element, the weakest link in your organization. You can have many security controls and technical controls. However, employees are still vulnerable to phishing attacks or social engineering attacks. And hardware standard and blockchain technology is becoming very popular, and many organizations are trying to adapt it to provide better security and privacy controls by having distributed model and having anonymized data to be used to provide many of the services in smart city or a hospital environment. Conclusion, we just would like to raise two issues that happened in the past regarding smart cities. One of them, the WikiLeaks had information about the CIA having the capability and tools to hack any smart appliance or any IoT devices currently in our home. And the second one is BMW has a shared car service called DriveNow. A driver who struck a cyclist was convicted on the basis of the car's recorded information. However, BMW claims that it doesn't store any such data. So we just have to be careful how we are implementing smart city, and it's just a matter of time before we run into any of these privacy and security issues. Thank you.